Hey everybody, Sal Capaccio here, WGR Sports Radio 550, Bill's sideline reporter, inviting you to do what I do every Wednesday and Friday night. That's check out 30 Minutes Live with CDP, coming at you from Ontario, right on your Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels. You can check it out every Wednesday and Friday night, just like I do. 30 Minutes Live with CDP.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your bro, CDP. Thanks for coming on 30 Minutes Live with CDP tonight on this Friday, March 19th. I am just waiting for Jordan Gruber, who is Rogers TV's community engagement specialist. Jordan's the one that gave me an opportunity to do camera work a year ago, hard to believe, for Rogers TV for the Guelph Storm game. So I'm looking forward to speaking to Jordan tonight. He should be on here shortly. I will just post a picture of him while we're waiting for him. Just 1 second. 1 sec, guys, and we're going to get Jordan's mugshot up here. And this is Jordan Gruber, who's a community engagement specialist with Rogers TV in Kitchener. And this is the gentleman that gave me an opportunity to get a little bit of taste of the broadcasting bug. And I can't wait for the day I can get back to doing volunteer work with Rogers TV and doing some live camera work for the Guelph Storm game. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Jordan. He should be on here very shortly. There's my ugly mug face. So anyways, I got my Guelph Storm hat on. So it's looking more and more like there might be a OHL season in April, and we'll see what happens there. But it could be a 20-game schedule, but it doesn't look like any fans are going to be allowed in the arena. So there's Jordan. 1 second. Hey, Jordan, how you doing?
Chris, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. It's been a while.
It has been. It's nice to see you and talk to you again.
Yes, it's been well over a year, and it's like 2020 to me is a lost year.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the way it's gone.
But thank you so much for coming on my podcast tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be invited. You got some pretty big names on here, so I was surprised to get the request, but I'm grateful to be here and chatting with you.
Oh, well, like I said, you guys gave me an opportunity, and I really appreciate it. And like I said, I've kind of found something I really want to do, and it's a passion in me. And I guess it took 48 and a half years to finally come out.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing it now. This has been awesome. I love the consistency that you've brought to it. And I tell people all the time, like, if it's something that you want to do, just jump in and actually do it. And you have absolutely taken that to heart. I love seeing how much you're doing this and the names that you're going after and the fact that you just don't quit.
Well, and I've learned from a lot of people too. It's called be yourself.
Absolutely. That's great advice.
And like I said, I just can't wait for the day I can get back to volunteering with Rogers TV and hopefully doing some Guelph Storm games again with Neil White.
We would love that. I know Neil's been missing you as well, but yeah, it feels like you were just kind of hitting your stride with it, and then we went into a lockdown, and so yeah, we're all very much itching to get back at some OHL coverage, and hopefully that's something that actually comes together. And I'd love to see you back behind the camera.
So that's good. How are things going with Rogers TV right now?
We're keeping busy. There's part of what we do is news coverage and, connecting people locally with what's going on. And so right now that's just as important as ever. Of course, the way that we do things has changed a lot. We ran a pretty massive volunteer program with a lot of people coming in and out of our studios, and that came to a screeching halt over a year ago. So we've really focused on keeping people safe first and foremost. So our volunteer programs have been put on hold until there's a time when we can safely bring people back onto productions. And so our studio has sat pretty empty during this time. We have a few productions going on that take 1, maybe 2 people to pull off, where we're able to have people socially distance properly. But outside of that, I mean, people have turned to community television now more than ever to be able to connect to local information, what's going on in their community. Organizations who normally have much more presence out in public don't have that same kind of presence now that everyone's behind locked doors. So a lot of them have been coming to us to promote their events, to air their events, and things along those lines. So it's kept us very busy during this time.
Okay. Anyways, I've got some questions I was going to ask you. So I'll start with the first question I was going to ask. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Jordan?
Sure thing. So I'm a community engagement specialist for Rogers TV Channel 20. So Rogers TV Channel 20 is a community access television station that covers Waterloo Region, Brantford, Brant, Guelph, and Stratford area. So my role within that is pretty diverse. I cover off our volunteer program when that's running, so training, recruiting volunteers, and I also handle our social media and promotion side of things. I work in scheduling as well, so when we've got new programming to coming to air, making sure we have a schedule that makes sense. And with community TV, anybody in the community can pitch a show to us, and so I also handle the show proposals that come in and work with people to get their concepts into a working format so that we can actually get it to air and fit within the framework for what our channel does. Um, I haven't always done this. It's something that I came to a few years ago when I was looking for a change in my career. But it's kind of like going full circle for me as well, because when I first wanted to get into the media industry, I actually volunteered with Rogers TV. I was really, really interested in going into media in some way, and I called around to every local company that did any kind of filming and any kind of media. And the one thing that I got from everybody I talked to is they said, "Have you volunteered with Rogers TV yet?" And I didn't know anything about the program at that point, and so I thought I better look into this. And I came and I volunteered at the station for a year, and I absolutely loved it. So when the opportunity came up to come back here and actually work with Rogers TV and help people who are in that same situation, they want to work in media, they're looking for experience, I was pretty excited to take it on. And so I've been doing that for a little while now, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, my story's a little it's similar. It's I got my taste with the Guelph Nighthawks a couple years ago. I was a volunteer with the Nighthawks before all the COVID struck, and during one game they were short a camera operator, so they asked me if I could help out, and I said I've never operated a camera before, and they're like, "Come on up to the press box to the upper part of the Sleeman Center, and one of the guys will show you." And I ended up doing the rest of the game for them, and the producer, now one of my friends, Kirk, said you did a really good job for your first time, and he said if you really want to pursue this, he recommended I come to you guys, and that's how I started out with you guys through my friend Kirk Emerson and
Yeah.
Steve Fay. Steve
Yep.
Fay.
I remember Steve putting your name out there as well. So I'm glad that he did, because we're lucky to have you on board. And your story is, I mean, it's unique to you, but it's also very similar. I hear that all the time. A lot of people still do recommend Rogers TV, and that's media is this funny thing where entry level positions, you look at it and they often require years of experience, and a lot of people wonder, like, how do I get that if it's an entry level position in the industry, and if all entry level positions are like that. And Rogers TV is a great way to do it. I mean, we have high school students who come, they volunteer with us. By the time they're done high school, they've got 5 years production experience, and depending on how much they've driven themselves, like how much they pushed themselves, how much they've actually learned during that time, we've got students who finish high school and they're ready to be producing live sports. They go off to a 2 year degree or 2 year diploma in broadcasting, and then they've got a job pretty much coming right out of that, because but again, this is by the time they're finishing college, they have 7 years experience, and it's all because they got started with Rogers TV. So it is still a very good way, even though TV has changed a lot. Rogers TV volunteer program has changed a ton since the time when I did it, I don't know, a decade and a half ago. Um, but it's still, employers love seeing volunteer experience. They love seeing that you're working towards a passion even when you're not getting paid for it. Media love seeing that you actually have real world experience, not that you're just, taking your cell phone and shooting something on your own on the weekend, but you're working with an actual broadcast team on an actual live broadcast. It's real experience that can't really be replaced with anything else except that experience. So it is still a very, very good way for people without experience to actually get that under their belt.
I totally agree, and like I said, I never knew how much work was in a TV production before I started with you guys. So I have so much respect for everyone that volunteers or works with you guys, and especially the producer. I'm not trying to suck up to Neil White because Neil's my friend, but I tell you, producer, man, you have to be like a quarterback. You basically have to know every aspect of every job and be good at it, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I do a lot of different things in my job, and I consider myself to be fairly skilled at jumping from one task to another. But I will say the sports producers still blow my mind with their ability to multitask and constantly task switch. At the drop of a hat in the moment in live games. I've jumped in on a lot of different positions on OHL games and other sports broadcasts that we've done, and I cannot get my head around the amount of information that a producer has to keep in their brain when they're directing, switching, and sometimes doing replay or graphics at the same time as doing all of that. So they definitely deserve some high praise for the work that they do. And honestly, I think the OHL coverage that our producers put out is phenomenal. I've sat there on a Friday night flipping back and forth between an NHL game and our OHL games to compare the quality, compare the camera angles, compare the shot choices being made, and I think it's really impressive what we pull off with what we have to work with versus an OHL franchise. So yeah, definitely kudos to our producers, but also to our volunteers who are extremely dedicated and very, very skilled, and we're lucky to have them.
Well, what I kind of liked about it is everybody there is different ages, in their 20s, early 30s, and they all accepted me. And I'm quite a bit older than most of the people. Everyone there accepted me, and they understood I had not a lot of experience, and they made me feel like a part of the team. And it's really a good place to volunteer in my time so far with Rogers.
Yeah, I love the way that our producers have worked the crew positions, and they've certainly developed a way to incorporate people into a broadcast right out of the gate. And a lot of people ask me when they come through training, they say, okay, so like if I do this training and I come out to cover OHL, how long before I'm actually going to be doing like something? And I said, well, probably your first shift. And a lot of people don't realize that their very first shift covering an OHL broadcast, they will be on camera. And for many people, it causes them to freeze up and get worried about how well they're going to do if they don't have experience. But one, we give them training so that they do have some knowledge going into that moment. But on top of that, I always say to them, like, look, our producers have the choice of what cameras they're going to switch to at what time. We're not going to put you on the main follow camera for the game if you have zero experience whatsoever. So it's a really, really good opportunity to get on a camera and get some experience without a ton of pressure of how much we get that shot to air or not. And we find some people on their first shift, not a lot of their shots are actually going out to air, but they get good experience and the producer's able to give them real-time feedback. So the next week they're a little bit better. And we have some people who work their way through those camera positions really, really fast before they're able to take on a main follow camera for the game. Other people take a lot longer to do it. But again, and it is kudos to our producers for actually working out their broadcasts in a way that people can do that, because I think that's the best learning. No, our volunteer program wouldn't be nearly as successful if we invited people to just come and sit in a boardroom and listen to me talk and walk them through a manual of here's how you cover a camera at a OHL hockey game. They learn a lot more from actually sitting there, grabbing the controls and trying it. And you don't realize how hard it is until you actually sit down and do that, but you also don't realize how quickly you can develop a skill set for that, even if you have no previous background.
I totally agree. And with what Neil was doing with me, he would put me on camera. Well, actually, the first game, he had me help do a little bit with graphics, and I only had a little taste of it, but I didn't realize how much work there is between graphics and the broadcast. So I got a small taste of that. But Neil had me on camera 5, which was up by the Canadian flag,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like that. And you know what? One guy, was it Neil or another producer, Robert, was telling me, even if you don't think you're going to get your shots on, always pay attention and just do the best shots you can, because you never know when the producer, Neil or Robert, will use it. So just always be on the ball and be ready to go when they need you.
For sure. I remember my first hockey game. I really did not know what I was doing. I did not come from a sports background in broadcasting at all. I had a more of like a scripted media background, and so I was out of my element doing it. But I was, up for the challenge, and I had a lot of fun. And I was just trying to listen to the producers, and majority of my shots were not going to air. But there came a moment in the game where a goal happened very quickly, and out of, I think, 6 cameras that we had shooting, I was the only one who actually caught it. And so that is what they needed for the replay. And I felt pretty good about that. Honestly, it was a fluke, not skill. But either way, I was grateful that my shot actually served its purpose in the broadcast, even if it was one of the only shots of mine that actually made it in that game.
I have to say, one of the cameras I enjoyed before all this COVID struck was camera 3, which is a handheld camera. I have to admit, the first couple times I did it, my shoulders the next day were like, "Oh my god, my shoulder!" But Neil started having me do it a little bit more and more, and I started getting used to it. It's basically in the corner of the Sleeman Center, getting close-ups and stuff like that. And I started really enjoying it, and then having to leave before the end of the period to be the cameraman for Trevor. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. And the thing is, even if there are little mishaps or mistakes, Neil's really, really really good about it, and he doesn't make you feel bad. You just try to learn from it and keep on going.
Yep. And I mean, corner cam is definitely a skill. If I'm ever helping on a production and producers say, "Which camera do you want to do?" I say, "Not a corner camera," because much like you, my shoulder is sore for quite a bit afterwards. I think it's a stamina that you build up. You build up some of those muscle groups and being able to stay still for that long. But it is a good place to practice. I find corner cams are ones where sometimes the shots just come right to you, and
Yes.
even it's one of those things where it's more of a fluke than skill. But you have enough of those happen that it builds up that confidence that you're able to start looking for those moments and catching them. And we've had a few corner camera operators that I'm just blown away by the skill set that they have in capturing the moments. And there's some really cool shots that you can get in the corner that change the game from an observer view, from that wide out kind of just looking over the entire rink view, into seeing the actual player's emotion, and it really gets you into the game if you're at home. Like those are shots that if you're sitting in seats in the stadium, you don't even see the player's facial expressions the way that you do on a corner cam. And so when those shots come together, it really ups the quality of the broadcast. There are weeks where it's people learning it for the first time, and maybe none of those shots come together in the entire broadcast. But when they do, it absolutely changes the game for the viewers at home.
Yeah, like I said, I hopefully I will get an opportunity to do that again, because I was starting to get kind of comfortable with it, and then get my timing down with getting to behind the storm bench to meet up with the host Trevor,
Yep.
and it just made me feel like a part of the team, and I was contributing to the broadcast, and it's a great feeling when you get recognized, like, "Hey, good job," or they need you to do something. It just makes you feel like basically a part of a team.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned meeting up with Trevor. That's just another fun full circle story, is that when I used to volunteer with Rogers TV, I was doing camera operating, going out with reporters on shoots. And Trevor was actually a volunteer at that point in time, volunteering on the same show that I was shooting camera for. And so I went out on a few shoots with Trevor as his camera operator. He was the reporter back in the day. So again, we're full circle, like probably a decade and a half later, and get to work with him again.
Yeah, definitely. And I try to watch how he handles himself, and he's even been patient with me too. Like I've had a few little bugs or hiccups, and he's given me a hand, and I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, talent like that are really, really awesome, working with our crews, especially because we do have people that are learning, and we're fortunate that we've got some amazingly patient talent who it's part of our job is to get things at the right time and communicate with them well, so that they look good doing what they're doing and can focus on the information that they're bringing. And yet we don't always pull that off perfectly, and they're still very, very patient, and they come back the next week and give us another chance to do it. And so we're grateful for Trevor and the other hosts that we have on our channel.
Definitely good bunch of people to work with, and I always try to give you guys a plug on my podcast.
Love it. I've heard that before, and I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to when we can actually open up our volunteer program again and do something with the people who have applied. So
Yep.
if anybody does listen and they apply to our program, I always follow up with an email so people know what's going on. You can still apply throughout the pandemic, and even while our volunteer program's kind of on hold. And whenever we do open up again, I'm going to have a lot of emails and phone calls to make to let everybody know what's going on and how they can get involved and all of that. But that's my job to take care of. So if there are people watching your podcast and they do want to get involved, all they have to do is fill out an application on our website, and I'll be the one to follow up.
And another thing too, I've made some friends, not just contacts, but I've made some friends through Rogers TV, and it's been really so far a really good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. There's such a strong connection, especially with our OHL crew, because it's a lot of the same people week after week, and so some of these crew members have known each other now for 5, 7, 10 years, and definitely you don't spend that much time with somebody and not develop some level of friendship. And so a lot of them are hanging out outside of productions as well, and definitely connecting on the productions. And that just makes the whole production go smoother. You're working with people that you like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're communicating a lot better when you have some level of relationship beyond just showing up a few minutes before the game and hopping on a camera. So we really like seeing that, and we've had a lot of solid friendships that have formed out of those crews over the years, and I think it translates to the broadcast as well, and that's always nice to see. I mean, it's nice to see people becoming friends regardless of the situation, but when it has a payoff to the broadcast as well, it's pretty cool to see that come together.
Definitely, and like I said, for years I've always enjoyed your broadcasts as a fan, and now to be behind the scenes, it makes the production even better when people are actually really like each other off the camera too. Because sometimes
Yeah.
guys, professionally, they get along on camera, but when the camera's off, it's totally different in some cases.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that I think working in community television, working in community access TV means there is sometimes a different standard, and we always strive to have like the highest level of broadcast possible go out, but we also have a lot of limitations that we're working within, and people don't always know about those limitations. But I will say the best way and biggest way that we overcome those is the fact that we have a really solid team that works together no matter what hand we're dealt, and what the equipment does for us that night, what number of crew we have for that night. Everybody gives it their all, and they work together, and they do double time, triple time, quadruple time if they need to get things done. They'll cover off multiple positions if they need to, and absolutely get each other's backs in any way that they can.
Okay. I just have a few more questions. Is that okay, Jordan? You're okay for
Of
time?
course. Yep. Go for
Okay.
it.
I always like to ask questions. My next question is going to ask you, where did you go to school, college or university?
So I went to film school at Ryerson University in Toronto. So I graduated with a master's of fine art. Sorry, not a master's. That's me dreaming, wishful thinking. A bachelor's of fine arts in film production.
Interesting. How many years was that course?
That's a 4-year degree program.
Wow. Okay. Another question I was going to ask you. I did kind of cheat and I looked at your LinkedIn page. This question is, what was it like having your own business? I guess. Can you tell us about Gruber Media?
I haven't been doing much with that. My current job keeps me pretty busy, but that was just something over the years, especially when I was finishing up high school and I was doing a lot of media stuff, and I was having many people approach me. This is before the days of cell phones having good cameras in them. It was harder to find somebody who actually had camera experience, and so I was being approached on a pretty regular basis, being asked to cover things. And so that was something I just started on the side. As those requests came in, I could kind of funnel people into that. So I have not pursued it very much over the last number of years as I've been kept busy with my other stuff. I still will do the occasional thing when somebody brings me a project, but that's really more of a side hobby, and a lot of family and friends that approach me for those things.
Okay. Next question I got for you is, what was it like when you were hired on by Rogers Communications? I believe in 2015, I believe.
That's correct. You did your research. It was awesome. I was looking for a change, so I was relocating from GTA and moving for some family reasons, and so I was prepared to leave media and leave television altogether, just because thinking there's not nearly as much of an industry once you get outside of the GTA. And so when this opportunity opened up, it was perfect. It was a blend of a lot of the different things that I've done. I have a background in volunteering and volunteer management, which I've done since I was a teenager, for various organizations, and so there it draws on that aspect of it. I'd also been in some leadership and training roles, and so it draws on that aspect. And then obviously I've trained in media as well, and I've been working in the TV industry for a number of years at that point. So it was this really interesting position that kind of blended all of the different things that I had background in. And I would love the opportunity, love to come full circle, like I said, back to something that had helped me kind of start off in my career. And then on top of that, it was in my target city where I was moving to. So it was a pretty sweet deal all around. Once I actually got started with Rogers, it was an amazing onboarding experience, getting started. The way that the company got me all set up, and the way that I was introduced to the company, introduced to the role, I was really impressed with Rogers as a corporation, and I continue to be. Years later, I think there's so many things about working for Rogers that have really impressed me compared to some other workplaces that I've seen. It's just they do things a lot differently, and try to set their employees up for success. And it's something that I love and I still appreciate. And it's a job that I wake up excited to do, and with people that I'm excited to work with.
I was going to say, one more question I was going to ask you is, did you have a mentor sort of when you started with Rogers? Somebody that kind of gave you a helping hand a little bit when you to break in when you started?
Um, like, well, I mean, the coworkers that I had, really, it's a small department. There are a few key people. So Jen Schmidt definitely got me up to speed on what all the various facets of my job and what that entailed. And she's still working with me today, and I still go to her for advice on a regular basis. She's been with the company and with Rogers TV for a long time, and has just a wealth of knowledge on how things work and how things could work better. And so I've been really fortunate to work with Jen and get her input and advice. And then management at Rogers has been really great. I've learned a lot from my managers. I've had a couple different managers now over the years, and they've been really helpful in shaping my career, helping me develop better work practices and focus on where I want to go, and kind of make the most of the current job I have, but also look towards the future that I have, and what opportunities might become available through that.
I was going to say, and this is my opinion, a company or a business nowadays is only as strong as its employees are. That's my philosophy. The employees, to me, are a company's should be their number one asset.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I know one of Ted Rogers' principles when he started the company was that the people are the key to our success. And I think that's a value that I see lived out through the company, and that's something that was really important to me. I mean, coming into a volunteer role where you're managing a bunch of volunteers who come, like, volunteer is really just a pay scale. Like, these are people who are actually doing work, and so they're valued crew members, and people who are doing it from a place of passion. And so, like, in a volunteer program like this, like, you absolutely have to recognize the value of the people that you have. And so doing that within a company who, focus on the value of their people has been really nice.
Definitely. Just a couple more questions, Jordan, and that's it. I
Okay.
uh, I try to have a rule. I try to limit my questions to about 10, but sometimes I go over 30 minutes. So sometimes I get my guests bugging me, say, "Hey, this is 60 minutes live with CDP, not 30 minutes." So, but everybody's been great. So I always, like I said, I always try to be conscientious of my guests to see if they're okay for time or they have to have another commitment. So I always make sure I ask if they're good.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Okay. Another question I was going to ask you. I think you've already answered it some ways, but I'll ask it anyways. What is the best aspect of being a community engagement specialist for Rogers TV out of the Kitchener area?
Ooh, it's a toss up between two things. So the volunteers that are on our crew are amazing. So I've had the chance to get to know a lot of amazing people through this role. Like the number of direct coworkers that I have is pretty small and hasn't changed a whole lot over the time that I've been here. But the amount of volunteers that we have cycling through our program on a regular basis is a lot, and so it's allowed me the chance to meet some really cool people with unique stories and different places that they're headed in life, different places that they've come from, and I absolutely love that. I love getting to know our crew and what they're doing, who they are, what they love about what they do with Rogers TV, what they don't love about what they do with Rogers TV, all of it. I love that part. I also like working with community organizations and hearing the stories that they have to tell, because that's a big part of what we do, is telling the stories of the community. And so hearing from local organizations what they're doing, what successes they're seeing, what challenges they're facing, and then how we can partner with them to help amplify a message or connect them with the people or the resources or the volunteers that they need. All of those things have been eye-opening for me and also very rewarding.
Okay. And I just got two more questions.
Sure.
The next one is, what has it been like the past year dealing with the pandemic, COVID-19, that has affected a lot of business, including the Rogers Communications and the Rogers TV and Communications volunteer program?
Well, I miss people. That's got to be the biggest part of it. It's it's weird going from seeing all the, like, I kind of had different crews that I would see different days of the week, and as well as my coworkers. I mean, I've barely been in the office for 12 months at this point. So I miss people. I miss seeing the people that I work with. I really like the people I work with. In case you haven't picked that up yet, I like the crews that we have, and so not getting to see them has been a challenge. It's also my role has shifted a lot, because before I did a lot more working with volunteers day in day out, and now my role has shifted a lot more to our external communications, through social media, our website promotions that we do, just because connecting digitally now has been the way things have gone. And so it's been good. I like challenge and I like change, and so switching gears has been a lot of fun, but it also comes with, like I said, missing the people that I would have seen on a regular basis before.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff is now done through live streaming as well. And I'm very lucky because live streaming has given me an opportunity to actually do my own podcast from my basement of my place.
Yep. Yeah, and
So,
it's looking good, and it's connecting people as well. Like I love that a lot of the guests that you've had are guests that fans, like, I'm thinking specifically of a lot of the announcers that you've had on. They're people that fans are used to hearing from, and then when live sports aren't going on, those fans don't have a chance to hear them. And so you're giving that opportunity for them to still connect and still have conversation, and fans can still tune in and hear what's going on for them, even when the live broadcasts aren't going on. So it's pretty cool that you're pulling that off right now.
well, I would say 99% of the people I've met in the media through ESPN, TSN, the NFL, they've been all great with me. They've treated me like one of their own, and they've made me feel like I'm actually one of their guys. And they've been really great with me. And one of the keys with me is I tell people what I'm about, and I don't bug people or push them. I just give them my information, and I let them get back to me. And I've been very lucky so far.
That's awesome. And I mean, I also say, like, I think your interviewing skills have improved over this, right? That's part of the reason why. It's so important sometimes to just jump in, and you've really shown that, because, like, I think back to some of the first times that I saw, on Facebook Live, I'd see the notification that CDP is doing a live video right now, and just where you started and where you're at right now. Like, I've seen a lot of progression, and that's awesome. That's one of the biggest reasons to be consistent and keep going. And so kudos to you for staying with it.
Thank you. It's been 11 months. And one guy, everybody's pretty well told me this. It's basically practice and reps. Just keep doing it, keep working at it. And I've had some friends too in the States help me as well. And they've got me connected to StreamYard, which is what I'm using right now.
Yep.
And this is on Facebook, it's on my Twitter page, and it's on my YouTube channel. So, and I've also learned how to promote myself and to basically, I pretty well have learned how to produce my shows and promote myself as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, I mean, keep up with it. And I'm looking forward to when we can be back in productions ourselves and put some of these skills to work.
I'm hoping one day I can interview Neil White on here.
Yep. You let me know once you send that request through to him, and I'll try from a different angle to get him to agree.
Okay. I got one last question for you, Jordan, and that is this not just for me, but anybody. Any advice for anybody that's a Rogers TV volunteer looking to pursue a career into broadcasting, TV, radio, such as myself or anyone else currently for a career?
I may sound like a broken record because I feel like I've said this, through you with your podcast already, but it is something I say on a regular basis, and that's think through what you want to do and then start doing it in some way. And a lot of people in media especially are waiting for the opportunity to be given to them. They're waiting, like they want to host a TV show, so they're waiting for somebody to put out an open casting call for a TV host with no experience, and then that will be their opportunity to jump on it. But what I've seen is the people who I've worked with that have found success in the industry are people who are making their own opportunities essentially. So we've had a couple volunteers now who have come to us and say, hey, I want to volunteer. My goal is to host a show someday. And I say to them, like, okay, so what kind of show do you want to host? If you got the opportunity to actually host a show, what would it be? And a few different reactions to that. So some people just tell me what kind of show they want to host and leave it at that, and they volunteer for a few shifts and never come back. But then we have other people who put together a pitch for that show, and they submit that pitch, and they show us one way or another what they're capable of. So oftentimes when we have somebody who's volunteering and we know they want to be on air, we look for an opportunity. Maybe give them a little 1 minute spot on one of the shows that we already have, and then see how they handle that. And some of our volunteers knock that out of the park. So we say, okay, we're going to have you host a whole entire segment, and then they hit that out of the park. We say, okay, we're going to have you guest host a show, and they do well with that. And then soon enough, we've given them their own show. And so that's happened more than once. We've had people who have moved on from hosting shows on our channel to hosting shows on other networks. And so a big part of it just comes down to finding out what you want to do, and then getting the practice, doing the reps, like you say. And even if that means creating your own opportunity, that's one of the huge benefits of the time that we live right now, is like technology is accessible to most of us. I mean, we're here talking on our computers. I'm guessing you don't have any $100,000 cameras sitting in your basement. You don't have a full broadcast studio there. You're doing it with the technology that you have available, but you're making it work. And you're, like I said, you are getting better at the questions that you're asking and how you're framing your show, how you're promoting your show, all of that, because you're learning as you go, because you're actually doing it. You don't learn those steps unless you actually jump in and do it.
And then, like I said, I am willing to work hard, listen to people's advice, and I just want to keep learning too.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm hoping one day I can maybe get an opportunity with Rogers TV to maybe pitch you my talk show, sports show. And now I'm kind of spreading my wings. I do a lot of sports interviews, but I've been getting some comedians and some people from other fields too, because I want to try to branch out a little bit too. Not that I love sports, but I just feel it's good to branch out a little bit too and interview other people in other professions.
Yeah, of course. That sounds like a great idea.
So, and like I said, I'm hoping to get someone else from the OHL on soon. And I've already had Mike Stubbs on and Mike Farwell. He's such a nice guy, by the way. Mike
Yes.
Farwell, what a nice guy. I've never met him in person, but he makes you feel like you've known him for years.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Mike. We're fortunate enough to broadcast a portion of his show on our channel every day, and I love listening to his show. He brings such a good perspective, makes me think. And I will say I have met him many times in person, and I think he's a very nice person over media, and then you meet him in person and he's actually nicer. So I didn't think it was possible, but he is. He's a really good guy. I really like every time I get to encounter him.
Okay, well, anyways, Jordan, I'm going to let you go, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on 30 Minutes Live with CDP tonight. And like I said, I will keep up the good word promoting Rogers TV for people who are interested in volunteering in the future.
Thanks so much, Chris, and thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jordan. Have a great weekend, and we'll keep in touch.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, good night, Jordan. Thank you. Anyways, thank you so much, Jordan, who's community engagement specialist with Rogers TV, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate Jordan taking the time out of his schedule to come on here. I hope you guys, whenever you watch this show, either live or tonight or tomorrow or Sunday, thank you so much. And I have some more guests lined up in the next week or two. So, guys, I do have another show tomorrow night, Saturday at 9:00. Give me 1 second, and I will put her picture up here. My friend, comedian, actress, producer, relationship coach from the LA, Burbank, California area, will be my next guest tomorrow night at 9:00 here on 30 Minutes Live with CDP. This will be Grace's second time on 30 Minutes Live with CDP. Grace is also a friend of mine as well, so I really appreciate her coming on here tomorrow night and talking comedy and her career. She's written a book too, Love at First X, and she does quite a few comedy shows in the LA, Burbank, California area. So I hope you guys all can tune in. Like I said, tomorrow night, March 20th at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, 6 Pacific, and we'll talk to my friend Grace Fraga, comedian, funny lady too, tomorrow night. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. But like I said, guys, Jordan, you're a good guy, and I really enjoyed interviewing tonight. Thank you so much. And everybody, like I said, I hope you guys realize how much I enjoy putting these shows on twice a week for you guys. Like I said, I've got a guest tomorrow night, my friend Grace. And then Wednesday night, I have a gentleman from TSN 1050 and from the CFL coming on Wednesday night at 6:00. I will let you guys know later tonight who it is. I like to keep a little bit of mystery. And then next Saturday, I have a friend, Lana Turner. Another female comedian from LA, Burbank, California, will be on as well. So I'm going to have the next 3 Saturday nights, I'm going to have some comedians on from LA and Burbank, California. But anyways, guys, like I said, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's show and Wednesdays too. Like I said, and we got March Madness going on right now, and we got the NFL free agency on too. I'm also going to try to get some more people from ESPN and maybe the NFL to come on and talk about the NFL free agency and stuff like that. Like I said, Buffalo Bills got Mitchell Tavinsky from the Bears to back up Josh Allen. They've re-signed pretty well all their key players. And the Eagles haven't done a lot yet. Zach Ertz is still an Eagle, but we'll see what happens there. It appears that Buffalo's out of the running for Zach Ertz now. So we'll see what happens there. But anyways, guys, like I said, we'll see you guys tomorrow night, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, 6 Pacific Time. Grace Fraga will be on. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you all soon.